Well, hello and welcome to Bloomington, Indiana. I'm a bit jet lagged, I have to say, but I'm really excited to be here, and I'm going to be finding out answers to two questions in particular. Firstly, how can filmmaking help music research and activism? And secondly, is a film that I'm currently making actually any good? So it's a beautiful day here at the University of Indiana. I've come out for the annual meeting of the Society for Ethnomusicology in general, but in particular for a pre-conference symposium on film as ethnography, activism and public works. And I'm super lucky to have a one-to-one film masterclass with filmmaker Jackie Comforty, award-winning filmmaker Jackie Comforty, who's going to give me some advice on the film I'm making. And yeah, super exciting. I'm going to give you a flavour of the day and report back on some of the things that we cover, some of the things I learned. So, film and ethnomusicology.
So before we get into the details, let's define a couple of key terms. Firstly, what is ethnographic film? And what is ethnomusicological film? More or less ever since film was invented, people have been pointing cameras at other people in real life. And this film from the 1920s is often considered to be one of the first films with an ethnographic quality. Audiovisual work can be thought of as ethnographic if it aims to explore, depict, evoke or theorise something truthful about the lived experience of a group of people or culture. The politics of this, as well as the question of how strictly you define what is ethnographic, and also the relationship between science and art, are all matters of intense debate. But the general idea is that there's a scholarly research agenda to communicate or reveal something truthful, no matter how experimental or artistic the techniques and style of filmmaking are. So ethnomusicological filmmaking can be understood as ethnographic film where music plays a central role in the story. Again, there's a lot of debate here around whether this should follow what Barley Norton calls the documentation paradigm, i.e. to treat film and video as a form of documentation, data or evidence in support of analysis or theory, or whether ethnomusicological films can explore alternative approaches towards ethnographic ends, like for example playing with sound sync or visual montage. The purpose of this symposium then was to bring together a wide range of folks whose work connects film and music in some way, to explore the debates, hear about latest research and developments in the field, and to begin to build a stronger international network of like-minded creative professionals. Oh, and to consume the requisite amounts of caffeine and baked goods, of course. The day was organised by Rebecca Dirksen and Jennie Gubner, who put a fantastic programme together, which of course I can't hope to fully do justice to here. So instead, I'll just give you a few thoughts and reflections from my own experience of the day. We began with several papers exploring some theoretical issues and filmmaking approaches and techniques. See the description for more. As a filmmaker, some of the main points that I found myself thinking about were: a range of approaches and techniques beyond the documentation paradigm can, and perhaps should, be considered for ethnomusicological film. We can poetically evoke as well as straightforwardly depict. Relationships are key. Good ethnographic filmmaking is always collaborative, working with participants, shifting from them to us. So we should be critical of those social power dynamics and especially self-reflexive, aiming to get a balance between local perspectives and academic concerns, also between creative expression and critical thought. Ethnomusicological films can become a form of activism, having a real impact on the social world. Cinematic language can mobilise different parts of the community. Speaking of which, after a coffee break it was time for my private masterclass with Jackie Comforty, looking at my film in progress Mother Knew, which is something that I hope will serve as a form of activism as well as scholarly exposition. Here's a clip from the trailer.
ma vini nous dit qu'attends ça monte. C'est non mais pour pas qu'on sait eh ben que nous attend. On dit que pour ma vini nous dit qu'attends ça monte. C'est non mais pour pas qu'on sait eh ben que nous attend. Eh ben que nous attend. Attends, eh ben que nous attend. Attends, eh ben.
Okay, so that was amazing, but also quite humbling experience. Learned loads, and Jackie had some really great constructive points for me. I guess the two takeaway issues for me are, one, I'm too much of a dominant presence in my film, although it is a kind of autoethnography. My style of interviewing and the way that I get folks to reveal things to me is not as good as it could be. So I need to think about that and work on it. And so the other takeaway is there's just shitloads of work left to do. And if I'm honest, I can't see myself doing this in time before my PhD finishes. I need to focus on my PhD and still keep filming things and building that archive, but then look to the editing phase as something that happens after my PhD happens. So I think that would be the kind of wisest move, really. Anyway, I can hear folks are coming in for the next session, so I better leave it there.
In the afternoon, we heard from a range of folks looking more directly at the issue of activism, including pedagogy, advocacy, and questions of power, politics, and the legacies of colonialism. I'm hoping to try and address some of these issues in future videos, once I've figured out how to do them justice. After all, as Cherie Rivers in Dalico told me,
so the other thing is to question whether a YouTube channel is actually a viable method for, or an effective method for having this conversation, right? And to what extent these sort of little sound bites actually perpetuate this notion that, oh, I can tick all the boxes, I know about decoloniality and I know about all of these things and therefore I'm absolved.
one filmmaker that I managed to catch up with is Michael B McDonald, who told me a bit about his work.
I got into ethnomusicological film, inspired originally in two ways. First, I got inspired by, I was a musician. I was on the road, I've been involved in making music videos and making music, and then when I went to do my master's, before I went to do my master's degree, I read Christopher Small's Musicking. And while I was reading it, I was thinking, hey, this is a fantastic idea, but text does not do this justice. This really needs to be a cine-musicking, not just musicking in text form. So my entire work since then, so that's now 13 or 14 years, has been trying to articulate in kind of a cinematic form what musicking might be. So how might I mature the idea of musicking using the cinematic form? And the reason why I use the cinematic form, because like music, cinema is durational. It's about things developing over time. And what cinema does that text doesn't do is cinema necessarily holds things together. So when you point this, you're seeing me and everything around me at the same time. And that process of holding stuff together is precisely what makes this an incredibly valuable thing. So today, I was talking about one of the two of the films that I made. One, which was an ethnographic film called Pimachahoan, which was made in northern Alberta, Canada, working with Indigenous elders and their kind of response to oil and gas development in the north. And it was a film that was actually, it was probably my first real kind of activist work, because it was actually made to be used in a business school that trains MBA students who are going to be working in the oil and gas industry, as an opportunity for them to not only learn something about elders, but learn more about traditional ecological knowledge and the difficulties that they are, as MBA students, going to face when they're walking in with a Western epistemology that separates economics from environment from social life, and sitting down with an Indigenous elders who don't have that or don't share that framework and are not interested in adopting it.
One with the mind is singing a rhyme, I spit so sick inside of the fine. Singing the brain is sauce with sign. Know in the world that I light it up. A wall maintaining a sliding out.
The film that I talked about after that was called Unspittable. And Unspittable is an ethnofiction. So it's an improvised ethnofiction. So ethnofiction film was kind of invented by Jean Rouche in the 1950s, the French filmmaker, anthropologist. So I use ethnofiction film in two methods. One, Unspittable is an improvised ethnofiction. And I also do screenwriting as part of my practice. So I convert ethnographic work into a screenplay and then with actors make a film on the ethnographic subject. So those two. I also make observational documentary films, and I also make music videos. And I mean, this technology that we're using right here to film this is so easy. I mean, we have this technology and the camera technology, and you're able to screen this to the world. There's absolutely no reason why we should say, okay, I'm a documentarian. Why not make everything? Music videos provide us an opportunity to explore music one way, documentaries another, improvised ethnofiction another, and screenplays another. So I'm right now just trying to develop the kind of how-tos of all of these methods, and then also how to do it by yourself, like you are. I mean, this is a one-person activity right now. This is DIY filmmaking.
Not easy.
No, it's just us. And this provides us a great opportunity to kind of smash all of those Hollywood-informed methods where you need 7, 8, 10, 15 people to make a film. You don't. I make my films myself with a handful of people, sometimes students, sometimes a member of community. You need a boom operator. Find somebody in the community and show them how to be a boom operator. That's all you have to do. And then you can go and you make your films and then put them up and send them to film festivals and do cool stuff. That's where it is.
Thank you so much. It's been so inspiring just to meet you and hear.
It's a pleasure. You can see my work, michaelbmcdonaldfilms.ca. All right? Thank you for this. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
We'll see you again.
We were treated to some clips from several films in progress during a public masterclass session, followed by some closing remarks by Frank Gunderson, which was a call to action really, arguing that there's perhaps never been a better time to make ethnomusicological films, to learn from them and to share them with the world. I'll let Frank and his film collaborator Brett Woods summarise for you, followed by a final thought from event organiser Jennie Gubner.
So we had this pre-conference, and what we discussed quite often is the history of the potential for film and ethnomusicology, which seems to have been at the level of potential for quite some time, but never really getting quite beyond potential, and having lots of these waves and ebbs and flows in terms of the possibility of it, but never really picking up and taking off. Though everyone seems to be much more hopeful now than ever before after yesterday in terms of just the energies that are going on right now, in terms of the availability of technology and the price of technology and software that's nearly free, that's really quite good.
My name is Travis Roberts. I started the Human Scab when I was a little kid, and we produced this music, and we basically fought the Cold War with our music.
When I'm thinking about the availability of technology, it's also the ability to put the camera and the sort of storytelling apparatus in the hands of subjects, which is not something that you tend to see in a lot of older films. The sort of availability and change of technology and the way we share technology, I think, has a huge impact on the way we think about subjectivity. And film is the primary place to be able to play around with that imagination. So I think that there's more potential here than just shifting what is I think, in an archival sense, stuck in the world of book publications, shifting that into film, I think it's more about the idea of where we take an active role as interlocutors, where we take an active role in our subjective experience. How do we tell a story? What is narrative? Those deeper questions, I think, unfold when we're able to see the potential that people bring into this media space.
I think the point of today was to bring us all together. This has been a long time coming. Both Rebecca and I have been wanting to do this, as well as a lot of other people that were in the room, a lot of conversations over a lot of years of what can we do to really push this forward. You know, there has been a growing critical mass of people that are interested in ethnomusicological filmmaking from all different angles, from making music videos to doing participatory public work to making films to getting in festivals, and we just need to be talking to each other a lot more, because if we're all in our silos in our different parts of the world, we're not going to get anywhere. And so hopefully today our goal was to make a big leap and push forward to put this literally at the forefront of the Ethnomusicology conference. And we're hoping that that will have ripple effects, and perhaps by calling it a call to activism and public work, we will have activated people in the audience to join us in making this happen and really pushing things forward so that we can spend more time making films and less time trying to figure out how to justify why we're making films.
Long as they respect. Let's get it!
The day ended with a screening of an amazing film called Buck Jumping, directed by Lily Keeber. I highly recommend you seek that one out. So there you are, and now it's the end of the day, it's late, I'm super tired, so I won't say too much more, other than I hope that you have got a sense of the important and potentially powerful role of film in music, well, any kind of cultural research and activism, but in particular that which is linked to music in some way. And yeah, I have to say thanks, of course, to Jennie and Rebecca and the whole team for organising such an incredible, inspiring day. I've got so much to process and think about, but I've learnt loads, and I know, of course, I'm not the only one. And to Jackie Comforty for his generous time. Also, of course, I have to thank again CHASE and ArtHouse Jersey for supporting me to come here. It's been an immense privilege. And actually, can't believe it's just the first day. I've still got the rest of the main SEM conference to go, and do look out for that video. I'll put a link to that in the description when it's done. And thank you to you guys for watching. Please do like, subscribe and comment. Let me know what your thoughts are, and let me know, in fact, what you think in terms of this channel, these kind of issues that we've been thinking about in terms of audiovisual engagement with scholarship and thinking about music in depth. This is an experiment in itself of public engagement, so please do get stuck in, get involved, and let me know your thoughts and ideas for where I might take it, what might directions we might go on our journey together. So yeah, thank you again for watching. Hopefully I will see you soon.